This is a short demo video highlighting the current state of the autofocus algorithms. We're looking out the back of my house. There's a little construction site down here. Nothing really going on there today. It's a pretty rainy day. The idea is just show some of the panel controls and a little bit about autofocus. So this view is looking out the back of my house, as shown in here. It's 95 meters from Google Earth. Here's the back of my house, and here's that little cul-de-sac, and that's where that little bobcat's sitting. Another view I'll show later is from my house looking at the hillside and the trees up above it. And I can show you, here's a short video of what things look like invisible.
This is the location where I'm taking some autofocus imagery. Thought I'd take a little video during the day. One side I'm kind of looking at is where this little bobcat is. Notice there's two trees in the foreground. They'll sort of show up. That's out of focus. And then if you see way in the distance out here, there's some houses up on the hillside.
So that's just, it gives you visible. So the first thing we'll do is just zoom in on this scene. Oh, there goes a newt. So we have track focus enabled here first. So this is going to show a feature where as you change the zoom, focus should stay fairly constant in focus. So as I zoom in, things look pretty good compared to what they could look like. Kind of manually focus it up a bit. If I disable track focus and then go back into wide, you'll see a normal focus change, which is going all the way through focus. So one thing about this track focus, though, is it limits the available focus travel to what the Tamron lens thinks is a reasonable level. So if I turn off track focus here, I can go to near focus and go way near, including if I want to go closer than 7 meters distance to target, which was what they say is the minimum. So it gives you a lot more range if track focus is off, and I guess that's for a safety purpose. But it can be confusing when you want to move the focus and track focus is on and it doesn't go anywhere. This has effects for autofocus too. So if I am to, say I go do an autofocus here, I'll turn track focus off and do a longs autofocus down here where I scan all the way from infinity to near. See, I go way out to infinity all the way to near, and then I jump back to focus. So I'll just do that again. I'll manually go out to infinity, do that long autofocus scan. Okay, so now if I have track focus on, when I try to go out infinity, it won't go that far. You can see it barely goes out and back in. So other features, the buttons, push tele button, push the wide button, and as long as you hold it down, it zooms at a predefined rate to wide. Back to tele. These aren't quite full max rates. Same with changing focus. Push the near button and hold it. As soon as you let go, it stops moving. And I've just sort of set the rate at something that helps you control it. We have Clayhee on right now, and the autofocus actually is done post Clayhee enhancement. It can help. This is a pretty low contrast scene today. It's raining out right now, and none of this equipment's been being used. There's snow. This black stuff over here is sort of a reflection of cold off the bank in front of this house. So we go back. The other autofocus algorithm is a seek algorithm. It just sort of moves in. You can see that one went pretty quick. Let me get it out of focus. That's a little more fair test. Seeks towards the narrow range until it sees the metrics decreasing, then goes back and seeks the other way and then back. And that one failed. There's some parameters here that I'm still kind of playing with. And so this change detect parameter of percentage is how much change in autofocus before you think it's increasing or decreasing. So you notice I upped that from 2 to 4%, then it seemed to work better. It makes autofocus take longer because there's more steps before it reaches that percent change. Speed adjust is just for test purposes. If you try to make it run too fast, you won't sample fast enough to find the actual peak in autofocus, and you'll miss it. So if I up this to say 800% or 800% and do an autofocus, well, it worked. So now I'll go back into Clay mode and go back. And this time we'll manually focus into near, and I'll do an autofocus. And of course it nuked right in the middle of my autofocus, but it seemed like it got it pretty well anyways. So now we're looking at the set of houses that's 830 meters away, and it's pretty rainy and cold today, so there's really not a lot to look at out there. You can still see zoom track focus is on. There's off. Did an autofocus. It seems to work fairly well. I've got Clay on, which helps. Without that, there's really not much to look at. We can go back and try another one. It just sort of loses it. So, probably need, for low contrast scenes, it looks like Clay really helps a lot. And it brings it right in.